Reserve time.
Hello everyone, welcome to another night of SCS. I of course am your host Niz, and welcome to NizCast. And we're starting off in the quarterfinals as we do every Sunday. And we're casting a game here between Team Knights. We've seen them a few times in the brackets before. I'm not sure I've actually cast them recently, but yeah, they've definitely been hanging around late in the brackets in the previous weeks. Anyway, so they're going to be playing on the Radiant side, and World's End is going to be playing on the Dire side. And unfortunately, that name's not fitting, but a little scary with some of the events going on in Paris recently. And I'm going to have a little French flag in the bottom right corner for throughout the cast tonight.
Radiant team
As some pretty scary stuff going on in France, but hopefully that's the end of that. But we're here to cast some Dota and talk about Dota, so let's do that. As let's figure out what's going on in the draft. We've got Darkseer and Earthshaker getting banned out by Knights, and Doom and Slardar getting banned out by World's End. Still not going to see that Doom. Everyone still thinks it's far too strong. Been getting banned a ton in all the games we've cast recently, and of course in the majors. I actually haven't gotten a chance to watch most of the games that happened yesterday with regards to the majors, so that's a little unfortunate for me. I'm going to still try to catch up desperately before Monday when the next round of games starts and we actually start in the playoffs. But I'm still standing by what I said. Alliance is back. The trip to the losers bracket is all part of the plan. It's all part of the grand plan now. Alliance is back. I believe. But of course, my number one pick is always going to be EG. But let's talk about this game. We got Shadow Fiend and Winter Wyvern, the picks from Team Knights. Dazzle and Ember, the picks for World's End. So nothing too surprising there. Shadow Fiend, I think he's by far the most contested hero in terms of making it through the banning phase and getting picked up immediately. See him pretty much every game now. And Ember Spirit, definitely one of those heroes that we see very, very often as well. Definitely a top tier hero. In fact, all four of these heroes are top tier picks. Dazzle and Winter Wyvern both are probably the two strongest defensive supports in the game right now. So not a surprise that both teams pick those up. Dazzle does quite well pairing with Ember Spirit. Of course, Weave reduces the armor for everyone, so Ember, when he hits with that Sleight of Fist, crit or not, still going to do a ridiculous amount of damage. Winter Wyvern, very strong defensive, also good at locking down Ember Spirit, but he can do what he can to keep Shadow Fiend alive. Doesn't have Grave per se, but his own way of locking or saving teammates is quite strong. We got Spirit Breaker getting banned out, a hero that we've seen come and go recently in terms of the meta and how often we see the Space Cow charging around all over the map, but he's back now, so we're not going to see him this game, but we may see him again tonight, so that should be exciting. Now Wind Ranger getting banned out as well. Hero that was very, very prominent in the Western scene at least, and of course this is an NA Dota event, so no surprise that we see so much focus on her. But yeah, people were all about the Wind Ranger, picking her mid, and she's kind of fallen down the ladder a little bit, but she's still a very, very contested pick, and a very strong one at that. And then Tusk gets banned out, so nothing really unusual here at all. Maybe just the high priority on the Earthshaker bans, the only thing that maybe stands out, but Earthshaker's on the rise again recently as well. So everyone just kind of drafting and picking, or banning and picking the real meta heroes, Gyrocopter being the last ban there as well. Another incredibly strong safe lane carry. He's kind of the go-to carry right now. Outside of Shadow Fiend and Ember Spirit, Gyrocopter's got to be one of those big ones. Of course, Anti-Mage is going to be another one. Seen a little bit of Phantom Lancer, PA, even Huskar getting into the mix, but yeah, we'll see who they choose to go with here. If they do choose to pick up a different safe laner, or if they just choose to run the Shadow Fiend mid or the Ember Spirit mid, and then they want to pick another harder carry safe lane. But we'll see. I don't think that's what we're going to see, but we'll see. Ancient Apparition getting picked up, so we got our second support for World's End. That's most likely going to be our position 4 support. Ancient Apparition typically played a little bit more greedy. Typically wants to get his Midas up early and then transition quickly into his Aghanim Scepter. It's a great counter to Winter Wyvern as well. Of course, his ability to save teammates is all about making them immune to physical damage and giving them a lot of regen. And of course, you can't regen or heal when you've got the Ice Blast effect on you from Ancient Apparition. So, and that also will do a good job countering the Undying Heal as well. He can't Soul Rip. And there's that Anti-Mage I was just talking about. So they are going to pick up the Anti-Mage to go safe lane. And they're going to have the Shadow Fiend mid. We don't know too much about where that Undying and Winter Wyvern are going to go. Most likely Undying is going to be in the off lane. Winter Wyvern probably going to be with the Anti-Mage in the safe lane. But they could just choose to leave Anti-Mage and Undying safe lane. Winter Wyvern moving around a little bit between mid and bottom where he's needed. And then just pick their standard offlaner. So we don't know if the Undying's offlane support yet, but that's how I think the lanes are going to shake down so far. But you never know until the heroes start taking their lanes. They can always kind of throw you for a loop. As Venomancer was the pickup for World's End. So probably going to be, I'm guessing their mid laner, the Veno going mid against the Shadow Fiend, Ember Spirit going safe lane. That secures more farm for the Ember Spirit. Venomancer should do alright against the Shadow Fiend early on.
Dire team pick.
But there is the possibility of maybe putting him off lane as well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what their plans are for that Venomancer. Clockwork, the final ban for World's End, so getting rid of one of those strong, really contested offlaners. Of course, Tusk is probably the big one as well, but he's already banned out. Spirit Breaker, I already mentioned. Slardar's up there. He's banned as well. Darkseer's gone, Earthshaker's gone. They're gonna go with Magnus. Okay.
Radiant team.
One that, well, I think he's kind of coming back, and certainly one that synergizes incredibly well with the Ember Spirit. If you can empower your Ember Spirit, that means a lot of damage. And Night Stalker was the final ban for Team Knights, so just waiting on their final pick. Not sure if it's going to be the offlaner or a support. I believe it's probably going to be an offlaner, but we'll see if they choose to maybe mix it up here and change it up. I gotta say, every time I look at World's End, the WE before their name, I think back to Warcraft 3, the old World Elite. If you guys ever played Warcraft 3, actual Warcraft 3, not Warcraft 3 Dota. Yeah, they were a very, very strong powerhouse in the Warcraft 3 community. But that's not them, they're World's End. As we still wait for this final pick. They're taking their time here, really going through it in their mind and trying to figure out what they want here. I see Magnus against Anti-Mage. I mean, Anti-Mage is going to do quite well against Magnus. And if you just have an Undying down there, he's not going to do enough to really zone at the Mag, which kind of ties up your Winter Wyvern a little bit. So they could be toying with the idea of throwing that Undying off lane and maybe picking up a different support to hard zone the Mag.
5 seconds remaining.
But they're going to go with Queen of Pain, so it's probably going to be Queen of Pain offlane with Undying up there. And they're just going to keep the Winter Wyvern at home with the Anti-Mage, and the Shadow Fiend should be perfectly fine mid. There's not too much roaming potential coming up from the Dire side, so they don't really feel necessary to leave or to have the Winter Wyvern focusing so much on mid. Or at least that's how it's playing out in my head, but let's see how the players choose to do it. As let's introduce our teams and our players on the Radiant side. We're going to have Knights, and playing their Queen of Pain going up into the top lane is going to be Silent. We've got Usagi Drop. I hope I'm saying that right. He's going to be playing the Anti-Mage. Sasaki So Kawaii is going to be playing the Winter Wyvern. Ryu is going to be playing the Shadow Fiend, or Ryu. And 122 is going to be playing the Undying. As for the Dire side, as they're moving directly into our Radiant side, we're going to have to wait before we introduce them, as we've got Mr. Thinger leading the way on that Ember Spirit for World's End, but I don't think they're going to be able to get an opening on anyone, and yeah, no first blood just yet. We got 40 Tooth playing the Venomancer. That's going to be awkward to say. We've got Farm Magician on the Dazzle. Koss playing the Ancient Apparition. Probably the most recognizable name out of all these players, or at least for me. And last but not least, we've got ISE playing the Magnus, as he's potentially toying with going for the top rune, but he's going to back away now as his team's quickly taken up control of the Radiant jungle. And we've got a couple wards going down to block camps. We've got this Observer ward that's going to block the pull-through camp, but also give them vision of the bottom rune. The Sentry ward, of course, blocking the pull camp, but perfectly de-warded by the Radiant side. As we start to get to see the lanes and how it all is going to pan out for us. I'll quickly bring it up so you can see the items again if you missed them. But we've got an aggressive tri-lane here coming out from World's End, as it's going to be the Dazzle, the Ancient Apparition, and the Venomancer going up against the Undying, the Winter Wyvern, and the Anti-Mage. And now that I think about this, makes a little bit more sense, because I think the Veno would have struggled a little bit more in the mid lane going up against that Shadow Fiend, but they also had the possibility. Oh, we got action here as the Gale's going to go out, but 42th I think is the first one in trouble, or maybe I'm calling it wrong. Well, no, 122 is going to go down. That's going to be our first blood. As 42th got quite low on that Venomancer, but the heal came through from the Dazzle that kept him alive just long enough, and that allowed the right clicks to come through and finish off 122 for first blood in favor of World's End. In the top lane, we're going to have the Queen of Pain going up against the Magnus, and mid is going to be Shadow Fiend going up against the Ember Spirit. As this aggressive tri-lane already has found that first blood, and they're going to look to try and extend their advantage here and minimize as much farm as they can from the Anti-Mage. Radiant has gotten an Observer ward in the lane, as I miss a kill in the mid lane, as you don't expect that to happen this early in the game, as Mr. Thinger on the Ember Spirit getting the solo kill on the Shadow Fiend, just dropping him. And now we're going to start seeing a little bit more rotations coming up from the Radiant side, as they're just going to go and stack camps in the jungle. They realize their tri-lane just isn't going to match up against this dire tri-lane just yet. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to get kills, and I miss another kill as soon as the Shadow Fiend TP's back to mid lane, the Winter Wyvern comes out of the jungle and they finish off the Ember Spirit.
Death tax.
Late pickup of 2-minute rune there, as we're going to get bounty rune picked up in the bottom location. We still have a regen sitting up at top, but potential action happening in the bottom, as Undying was kind of taking a little bit of a scary path to come in there, as he was spotted by this dire Observer ward as he passed through.
Nothing for your troubles.
Anti-Mage dropping almost down to 200 HP. All his regen is just a healing salve right now, so he's running a little thin on that. We only got 1 tango left on the Undying and 2 tangos on the Winter Wyvern. So regen getting low on this Radiant side of this tri-lane. Not too many tangos left on the dire side. 4 tangos between them. As Farm Magician's going to get open up on here, as the right clicks are coming out from the Winter Wyvern. Gale's going to land on 3, slowing them all down, and that's going to allow Farm Magician to just casually walk away from the Anti-Mage, who blinked forward. And now Usagi Drop is in trouble. One more auto attack. No, not even needed. He'll tick out from the Dazzle Q, as 42th in trouble one more time, as he'll eat some tangos to try to make his way through the trees here. There's no mana left for a Decay, as he's about 20 mana, excuse me, away from being able to cast that. And that means the Venomancer is going to live. And once again, this dire side tri-lane comes out ahead. And something's going to happen for the Knights here. They're going to have to adjust in some way, or try and cut their losses. And maybe just go back to focusing on stacking those jungle camps. As it's just the one. I don't know if you missed this or it's already been cleared. But yeah, definitely staying in the bottom lane's not working out for him. Take a quick look at our last hits. Actually, we'll take a look at the mid lane first, as we got a man-up fight going on here. Shadow Fiend and Ember Spirit going at it. The chains won't land, but it's going to still be enough. 38 HP is enough. Actually, 18 after the catapult has his way with him. But Mr. Thinger once again getting that solo kill on the Shadow Fiend. Silent blinking on in, finishing him off with a Scream of Pain, the revenge kill for the Queen of Pain. As I was just about to mention, take a look at the top left and we take a look at the last hits. We see that even with the death, the Shadow Fiend was doing alright, 23-7 versus the 17-1 from the Ember Spirit, but we just saw him die one more time. Thankfully, Queen of Pain came in and helped him out a little bit, but still, Shadow Fiend finding the farm in terms of CS, but probably falling behind a little bit in terms of GPM. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. As for how it's been going in the top lane, the Queen of Pain obviously dominating that, 22-8 versus the 13-0 for the Magnus. But the big question is, what are they going to do with their Anti-Mage? 11-2 CS right now. He is starved for gold. We've got the Veno sitting at 22-1. He's the one farming in that tri-lane. We've got a dive in the top. As looks like we're going to have the Magnus take out. Oh no, the deny actually came out. I didn't think Koss was going to be able to get that auto attack off to deny his teammate, but he gets the deny. And once again, more action in the mid lane as Mr. Thinger trying to really take over this lane. He's already had an advantage and already got a couple kills on the Shadow Fiend, but trying to find a third. Forcing a lot of rotations coming out from these supports as they try to be effective on the map. As the Dire, I mean, it's pretty easy for them in terms of support right now. They've got complete control over the tri-lane. All they have to do is make sure that some big rotation doesn't come out and finish off this Venomancer.
Not so.
We had that one TP from the Ancient Apparition up to the top to try and help the Magnus, and they may actually not rotate, but drop into a 2-1-2 setup and keep the Ancient Apparition up there. Maybe, well, he's sitting at mid right now. He may actually sit behind the Ember Spirit, or he may just be soaking up a little bit of this farm and experience as Ember moves around with his Invisorin. But definitely looking like an advantage coming up from this aggro tri-lane. I'm not sure if it's ending up in a total advantage because, like I said, the Queen of Pain for the Radiant side is winning the top lane. We're going to have an opening here as Mr. Thinger's going to engage onto 1-2-2, but Koss not able to get close enough to really help out there. All he did was throw down an Ice Vortex. Now he's got the mana to use his E, the Chilling Touch. So him and Mr. Thinger will start hitting really hard with their right clicks if they're able to land any. But Mr. Thinger, oh my goodness, almost going down there, but using the Remnant Jump to dodge the last raise that was coming out. Missed a kill in the bottom lane as the Venomancer goes down as Queen of Pain makes a good rotation down there to help out the Anti-Mage, give him a little bit of space. Not sure where Farm Magician was. Looks like he was back pretty far in the lane. Maybe he was taking, keeping his eye on mid lane and just didn't see the engage on the Venomancer. But Knights, with that, bring themselves a little bit closer as the Venomancer going to go right back down to the bottom lane. His Anti-Mage still struggling.
Thank you.
Almost at 1,000 gold right now as he just gets salved by a teammate. 1-2-2. He's got enough for his Ring of Health, and he's definitely going to want to go for that. Get as much regen as he can so he can stay in this lane. He's already got the headdresses. We're going to see the tier 1 tower go down here, but the Veno doesn't want to hit it because it's an easy deny for the Anti-Mage, but with Koss coming down there, that should be a drop tier 1 tower, and the Venomancer getting the last hit there. Couple heroes close by, but no one on the Radiant side going to come down and contest these heroes. So they'll keep pushing down the bottom lane. Nice deep observer ward already getting placed by World's End. They had the one behind the tower to help them take that down, but then this one kind of in the middle of the jungle a little bit. This is actually one of the observer wards I really love to place. It's very difficult to de-ward because based on how you can read into the information the enemy team has, it's not one that you typically de-ward. But we've got action here as 1-2-2 is going to be focused down, but he's already got the tombstone down, so they're going to have to right-click that one more to finish it off, and it goes down. Mr. Thinger desperately trying to get out of there. It looked like he was hasted, but he got hit by the last raise to finish him off. Koss now getting quite low because he got hit by a raise, but it's going to be the Shadow Fiend that's going to go down, not the Ancient Apparition. A Silent comes on in. He's got no mana, though, to finish anyone off. 6 charges on his stick as he'll pop that. Actually doesn't switch off his tread, so he could have had a little bit more mana, but it doesn't look like he's going to need it. They're going to find the kills anyways, as it looks like Dazzle's going to go down as the last casualty here. I don't think they're going to be able to get the AA as the Dazzle does indeed go down to the Splinter Blast coming out from Sasaki. And just like that, we have Knights taking the lead in terms of kills. But we're just about to hit the 10-minute mark, so let's switch on over to net worth and see who's leading the way there. And it actually is the Queen of Pain, 4,100 net worth. Then it's the Shadow Fiend at 4K. Then it's the Venomancer at 3.4 with the Ember also at 3.4. And then the Anti-Mage sitting at 2.6. And last but not least, out of all the cores, we got the Magnus at 2.2. So they've actually managed to keep their Anti-Mage somewhat in the game. You know, he's got very, very little farm, and this is going to be a late Battle Fury. But when you compare him to the other cores in the game and the cost that how do I explain this? Obviously, you're going to make sacrifices in other lanes if you're focusing so hard on shutting down one lane in particular, like the Dire side did with shutting down the bottom lane, making sure the Anti-Mage didn't get farm. But you can see with the net worth, it has resulted in the Shadow Fiend leading the way in net worth, but also the Queen of Pain dominating her lane as well. So in the end, we take a look at our gold graph and see where it stands. It's actually the Knights leading the way, not by much. 750 gold is very, very little at 11 minutes into the game, but it's still a lead nonetheless. XP is a little bit more, just over 2,000. But that's the cost of hard locking down an Anti-Mage, making sure he doesn't get any farm. And this was just a really smart pick to pick up that Queen of Pain, knowing it's going to dominate the lane, knowing that even if your Anti-Mage gets completely shut down, you're still going to have two other cores that can snowball quite hard. The Shadow Fiend and the Queen of Pain, both very, very snowbally heroes. And if they're left alone, they're just going to take over the game themselves. So good draft there coming out from Knights, but still early. We do have a very aggressive draft from the Dire side, and we're going to see if World's End's going to start snowballing as a team, not just as single heroes, but as a team, and really start dropping a bunch of these towers. Of course, they've got 2 tier 1s left, but start really chipping away at some of these tier 2s, and start snowballing off some of that tower gold. And just look at the amount of control that Dire has over this jungle right now. The Venomancer is just able to stand here and farm up the camps, which means the Anti-Mage, I mean, he doesn't really have much room to farm. He's farming down here, but outside of that, he can't just quickly hop into the jungle. Normally, in a situation like this, you'd kind of like to see the Anti-Mage go and hop up in the top lane, but there's still the Magnus and the Ancient Apparition already up there. They're managing to secure this whole jungle just with the Venomancer and the Dazzle, and it's not because they're hiding where some of their other heroes are. They're visible on the map. The Ember was mid. He just made a rotation, and as I say that, Silent takes advantage of the fact that the Ancient Apparition just rotated away from top. So we're going to have an opening here as they start to go on Sasaki, but he's going to turn around with the Winter's Curse. Mr. Thinger's going to jump on in, and the Shallow Grave's going to keep the Dazzle alive for a little bit, but he's going to go down as soon as that ends. His Veno's already gone down, and the Winter Wyvern was the one to survive, and oh, the Ahe Blast actually travels over him. Doesn't even hit him, it just travels over him, which still applies the dot. And that meant that he was going to tick and then shatter, and that's one dead Winter Wyvern. But definitely advantage Radiant side, 2 for 1, and a little bit of a gold swing there, almost 600 gold going their way. Now on the back of that, they're going to start putting some pressure on this mid tier 1. They've got a double damage on the Shadow Fiend, although it's about to expire. But should be enough for them to get this tower. Actually, no, they still have Glyph available. Koss is going to get engaged on. He does get the Ice Blast off onto the Shadow Fiend, who just makes quick work of the Venomancer, just absolutely blowing him up. So the Shadow Fiend gets 2. The Queen of Pain gets away safely, so does the Shadow Fiend. They don't get the tower, and it's going to get denied here by Farm Magician, as no one on the Radiant side is nearby to contest.
Tower has been denied.
But what was looking a little shaky in the first minute or 2 of this game is slowly coming back in favor of Knights. Like I said, winning those other lanes was absolutely huge, despite the fact that they lost that aggro tri-lane, or I guess in their case, defensive tri-lane, or tri-v-tri situation. The Anti-Mage, like I said, he's, now that he had a really bad lane, but because these other heroes are doing so well on his team, the Queen of Pain and the Shadow Fiend, they're able to take over the game and create so much space for him. We're going to start seeing this anti-mage farm just absolutely take off, and he's going to get a Battle Fury. Not as late as maybe you would have expected if you saw his farm come the 9-minute mark, 9, almost 10-minute mark, when he was sitting on just a Ring of Health. I think he was Ring of Health, Headdress, and Brown Boots at that point. He's already finished Treads, his Perseverance, got another 350 gold. That Battle Fury is not that far out. But we can't count World's End out of this. Like I said, they've got a really aggressive draft. They can really start taking down towers early on, but they don't have to. You know, that they're not on a timer in the sense of if you don't finish off those towers early and don't snowball super hard, you're done for. Because they've got an Ember Spirit, and on top of that, they got an Ember Spirit that you can empower with the Magnus. Oh, they're smoked up. They're going to find the Anti-Mage here, and he's going to have nowhere to go as they have completely surrounded him. And he's going to be dead. It is going to cost them their top tier 1 towers. The Radiant side smoked to make a move up to the top. There was no heroes up here, but they're still making a good rotation that is still, even if they don't find a hero, going to secure them a tower. So good play for them. Unfortunately, it cost them their anti-mage. But once again, this Dire side starts to take over this Radiant side jungle and start putting some pressure on the mid-tier 1. But the Ember Spirit having to jump away there. He does have his Boots of Travel, so expect him to be jumping back to the fountain and all over the place during this. As we've got action in the mid lane. This Farm Magician having a shallow grave himself. Ice Blast came in, and we had the Radiant side responding to that. Ooh, the ult from the Queen of Pain actually not hitting a Dazzle, just hitting Ancient Apparition, but Shadow Fiend's going to come in and finish that off. He's going to get a second kill as well, as both supports for the Dire side have fallen. As we've got the Venomancer and the Ember Spirit trying to turn around and man up. They've also got support coming from their Magnus in the river. They are going to find the Winter Wyvern, but they're in the middle of everyone. They're going to have to focus down the Tombstone. Typically your supports in this situation would be great at doing that, but they're both dead. So Ember Spirit's going to have to do that, and look at that, Mr. Thinger jumping away and jumping right back to finish off the Winter Wyvern. So they do find 1 kill. Actually, two kills, excuse me. They got the Queen of Pain as well. To even it up, despite the fact that they lost their 2 supports very, very early in that fight. There was the original engage, ooh, is he going to tick out from this? I think he'll be okay. He's furiously bottling, even though it's not doing anything for him, but yeah, he's going to be fine, as the Ice Blast, which did hit, that was thrown from fountain, from the Koss. But unfortunately, Shadow Fiend just had just barely enough HP. About 20 to 30 HP before shattering there. But more pressure on this tier 1 tower. We've got a ton of Veno wards going down. And they're doing a ton of damage as they right click. Another Ice Blast flies in. Tower's already down. Ice Blast actually hits 3, and that's going to force Radiant to definitely back away and respect the fact that 3 of them just got hit by that Ice Blast. As we'll quickly bring up our items so we can take a quick look. That's not our items. There we go. That's our items. As we can take a look at what everyone's got. So we've got our Arcane Boots on the Undying. Doesn't have anything else to give us a hint of what direction he's going in terms of his items. Looks like it's going to be an Aghanim Scepter for the Queen of Pain. Shadow Fiend's got his S and Y. He's also got an Ogre Club, so probably BKB is going to be his next item. Winter Wyvern's got the Arcanes. He's got a Sage's Mask as well. Not sure if that's going to be the Soul Ring, as well as Ice Blast flies on in and they finish off the Queen of Pain. As I was a little distracted there going over the items. As we'll take a quick look at the Anti-Mage. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch there. So Anti-Mage, he's very close to finishing that Battle Fury. Just needs the Bastard Sword, I believe it's called. I can never remember. I think it's the Bastard Sword and the Claymore. Broadsword? Broadsword, maybe. I don't know. I'll check. Where is it? Claymore, Broadsword. Close enough. Close enough.
Middle tower is under attack.
We got some pressure coming on to this tier 2 tower, and I don't think anyone on the Radiant side is going to look to defend this. We got a couple heroes nearby, but I think they're just going to have to respect the fact that World's End has already put themselves in a good position around the tower.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Well, Knights, they just didn't respond in time. Actually, they're going to drop the tombstone. They're going to go for it. And maybe it's the wrong decision as ISE just blinks on in, gets an RP off on 3. The skewer back only brings 2, but it's not working out for him. The Ice Blast came in and hit some heroes. Shadowfiend's going to shatter as a result, and Ember's going to finish off the Undying. So it does end up a 2 for 1. But I thought that was going to go much better for the Dire side than it did. Usagi Drop managed to finish off the Tier 1 tower and put some pressure on the Tier 2. But now he's going to have to jump away as he doesn't feel safe there. Instead, he goes directly across the map up to the top lane and getting a little bit more farm there as he's finished that Battle Fury. And now is the time where the AM farm starts to take off. Well, we quickly went over the Radiant side, so we should take a look at our Dire side. We almost got a Battle Fury coming out from Mr. Thinger. He's getting close as well. So basically a full Boots of Travel almost ahead of the Animage. As for our Venomancer, I like to go with the Veil first rather than the Aghanim Scepter. He's going to be going for that next. As for ISE, we saw him jump in with the Blink. So no surprise there that he's got a Blink. But besides that, there's Arcane. So never mind, we got an action here. They're going to open up on the Animage. He was so close, 34 HP. It looked like the freeze from the Winter Wyvern was going to keep him up. But Koss, with his right-click damage from Chilling Touch, is what finished him off. The magic damage from this, the 80 damage, was enough.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And the Animage falls. As we've got 2 more heroes left to cover. Farm Magician, Arcane Boots, Headdress. Mech's going to be what he's going to be going after. And like I said, we've got the Hand of Midas as the first item for the Ancient Apparition. Sitting actually on 1800 gold. So expect him to pick up a point booster shortly. As they're going to open up onto the Venomancer. He's going to try to TP away. And oh my!
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
That was close. That was very, very close. But just barely getting that TP off in time. Getting back to the fountain. As we take a look at our net worth, and it has come right back to 0. This game is anyone's at this point. But you have to say, if the game's even with the draft that Knights have, they've got 3 really strong scaling cores. I have to give the advantage to them so far. But definitely don't count World's End out of this one just yet. XP still in favor of Knights.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Well, I still can't believe that they had a 4K lead at one point with this draft. But it is coming back. And part of this is the tower gold. We've seen a couple towers drop recently. And we're going to see another one go down here. And this is a really viable strategy. If you pick a more aggressive lineup, as long as you snowball and you drop those towers and take them down early, you get a lot of gold over your opponents. And if you take a quick look back at the net worth, if they didn't fall behind 4,000 gold early on and they managed to stay even at that point, in fact, with their draft, they probably should have been ahead. And then you add this swing, about 6,000 gold. If they managed to come out of the lanes 2,000 gold ahead, they'd have an 8K lead right now at 23 minutes. So that's kind of the value of picking a more aggressive lineup and snowballing off tower gold. Well, they've managed to bring it back in their favor, but I think it might be getting almost a little late for them to start really pushing their advantages. They've only got this one outer tower left to give them gold, and then it's the difficulty of trying to push uphill. Looks like they're just going to let this tier 2 go, so there's going to be no contest here coming up from Knights. They're going to try to move up to the top and put some pressure on the tier 2.
Radiant's bottom tower
and will Dire come back and defend? They've already got their Ancient Apparition up there. They got a TP from the Ember Spirit. He does have a Remnant down there, but no, his teammates are going to TP as well, so. Still have Radiant hanging around here. There are just 3 heroes, and actually 4. They've got another one in the jungle. The Anti-Mage is nearby, but he's not really set for fighting. RP's going to land on 3. Skewer's going to bring them back to the tower. Winter's Curse, well placed, but it's not going to be enough to keep them alive. Mr. Thinger was the closest to go down, but on point is the Farm Magician with the Shallow Grave. Actually electing to max that last, going maxing E and then his Q. As they successfully defend their tier 2. And with that pick off, they might... no, I don't think they're going to have enough time. I was thinking maybe they'll be able to push these waves quickly and get a little bit of chip damage in on the tower, but it's just not enough. The amount of damage you're going to get in on the tower isn't really going to be enough to make the risk worth it. I'm going to go for Roche. I don't think they got time for this. They do have the Venomancer with placing his wards out. Will give them a lot of vision and keep them kind of safe. These Deep Observer wards give them a ton of vision right now as well. Yeah, they may actually get away with this. Radiant side actually has an Observer ward down here that is so close to spotting them, but just outside the range. But I think this one would have spotted them making that rotation. So it shouldn't be a surprise to the Radiant side, but I don't think they feel that they can fight right now, or that they need to fight. I think them engaging into this fight would be more risky than them just trying to defend against a team of Aegis. It'll go on Mr. Thinger, so the Ember Spirit's going to have a second life, and he's even going to have a Haste Rune bottled up. We got the Aghanim's finished, and looks like a Yule Scepter basically finished for the Venomancer as well. Well, you're going to find the Anti-Mage in the jungle. He's got another blink up. Silent coming in from behind. He's going to look for a kill on the Ancient Apparition. Will he find it? No, he's not. He's not going to find it. He's Silent, having to run away, realizing that the Cold Feet was going to lock him in place, and that was probably going to spell his death. And, well, it spelled his death anyways, as he's going to go down. Koth, actually, the original target, is going to get the last hit and the kill on the Queen of Pain. Well, it looks like they're going to send their Ancient Apparition back to, I was going to say to heal up and get some mana, and yeah, that's part of the reason, but also to pick up his Blade of Alacrity, as that's going to be his finish Aghanim Scepter.
At your place. Speedy rule
There it is.
haste.
So we do actually have a Scotty finished by Mr. Thinger. It's on the courier going to be flying in, as he's going to get a solo kill there on the Undying. Anti-Mage, like I said earlier, once you lose control of your jungle, the standard play is actually just to rotate, farm the top lane rather than your safe lane, and take over the enemy jungle with your farm as the Anti-Mage. Just basically be across the map from the enemy team. We're seeing him starting to do that now. He's been doing that for the last 10 minutes or so. And will he find the courier here? It's a scary dive to go for that.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Nearby. That courier actually still not delivering that Scotty for the Ember Spirit.
Dark light.
As he got sent back to base and then dumped the items into the stash.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
The Embers. Okay, he's going to go back to base, refill his bottle, and jump right back with his Remnant.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Good play here coming out from the Anti-Mage, cutting the creep wave in the mid so that they're not going to have a creep wave to support them here, which means they can't easily take that tower. Typically what you want to do against an Anti-Mage that's kind of splitting like this is actually to push the furthest, the opposite lane, so that he can't easily jump between. Oh, I'm going to draw on the minimap here. He can't jump between those two lanes, cutting off the creep waves. Preventing you from pushing either the top or the mid, so that's why you want to be across the map from him, but it's very, very difficult, and it gets even more difficult when you try to do it against a Brood, and she basically puts her webs across the center like this, because because she can do that with all 3 lanes. And it makes it very, very difficult to push with any kind of creep support. Some pings coming out for Smoke of Deceit. So Dire's got a little bit of an opportunity here. The wave has not been cut by the Anti-Mage just yet. He's kind of far. He's going to miss the next wave that's going to come in and support them. Oh, Mag's going to jump forward. He's actually going to get a solo kill, just finishing off the Queen of Pain by himself. Not even having to use the RP there. 1-2-2 getting quite low as well on the Undying. He's already placed the Tombstone. That just got right-clicked down, so this Radiant side going to be quite weak. No Queen of Pain, no Tombstone. Also, no buyback on the Queen of Pain either. As they're going to dive right past the tower here and going to go after Sasaki. As he's going to go down, Mr. Thinger just jumps back to safety. Still has the Aegis. As they're going to start right-clicking down this Tier 3 tower. We've got the Anti-Mage who just finished off the Tier 2 in the top. Starting to pressure and threaten the Tier 3s. And there we go. The Veno drops the Poison ult. Will land on 3. Oh, sorry, it actually only landed on 1. I thought it hit the Undying and the Queen of Pain, but it missed both of them. They were just barely outside the range.
Middle tower has fallen.
Tier 3 goes down. Anti-Mage now cutting the wave, so the creep support is going to end for the Dire side, but they're already in the base. And here we go. Mag's going to find a target, and it's going to be 1-2-2 as he skewers him back, and that's a dead Undying who will buy back immediately. Shadow Fiend getting quite low, forced to pop his BKB, so he's not going to have that. Mr. Thinger jumping forward, trying to finish off this Shadow Fiend. He will do so, but he's caught in the Winter's Curse. And he is going to go down. He does not have the Aegis anymore. Farm Magician having to shallow grave himself. Cost getting focused down. Farm Magician was able to actually TP away, but he is going to be the only one, as I believe that Veno bought back. No, he's still on the run. I feel like he died early in that fight. I guess I'm just completely wrong on that. I thought when they went deep, he went down early in the fight. My mistake. My mistake. Somehow we still won't have a show fight recap. Volvo, please. Well, we can at least look at our gold graph and see where it stands now, and yeah, that's that that snowball I was speaking of earlier. This really shouldn't have happened, this part, based on their lineup. But, I mean, it's difficult going against the Queen of Pain. The Ember Spirit was dominating early, but he got punished with a couple rotations early. Had he survived those, they would have been in a much better shape. But it looks like the Veno is going to get saved here by the Dazzle. They aren't going to be able to finish him off, or will they? Silent might actually die for this. He does have haste, but there we go. The Yule Scepter's there. And he's going to poison over, just turn around and finish off the Queen of Pain. Nice play there coming up from 42.
The well of our discourse.
Soggy drop. We'll just TP away. Yeah, going back to this gold graph, with the Ember doing a little bit better earlier on, like he was dominating his lane, but he got caught a few times with those rotations, even despite him getting the kill on the Shadow Fiend. Had he not got caught in those, this would have happened a lot earlier. You can also almost shift all of this down. This part of the graph, you could shift it down, but also shift it left, which means it happens earlier in the game, and it would be very, very difficult for Radiant to defend. It already is difficult, but it would be even more so. But certainly it's not all on the Ember. He's been doing a really good job. Certainly he won his lane, but just got caught a few times there. And, well, he still put his team in a good enough position so that they could snowball off towers after that. So we wait for the Anti-Mage to reconnect here, but we've got a pretty good game to start off the night. I'm satisfied. It's been good so far. Of course, guys, the winner of this will advance to the semifinals. I'll take a quick look, see if we've got a team waiting already. Yeah, they're going to be playing Mugiwara. Oh god, I forget it already. Well, we just got to resume. Mugiwara Kaizoku, something like that. I'll have to look at it again. But yeah, we're resumed here, so we are probably going to see a push for this mid-Rax. And Queen of Pain down for 20 seconds. We don't have buyback available on the Undying. Or the Shadow Fiend. Or the Queen of Pain. Yikes. Well, Winter's Curse going out earlier. That's a lot of damage going in on the Magnus, and he's actually going to go down.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Our Magician was staying back, playing safe, but maybe just a little bit too far there. Because now, the Radiant's on the aggressive. They're going to finish off the Dazzle, and they've got 2 picks here. This is huge for them to be able to hold.
Dire's bottom
Now,
tower
Anti-Mage really starting to be a threat in this fight, or at least potentially. As, he was starting to finish off the Venomancer, but now we've got Silent jumping in trying to get the job done for him. He won't, unfortunately, be able to do so, as the Veno just barely slithers away. And they hold. Knights keep their racks alive, and this is the difficulty. This is where you can really start stalling out with a team like this. You need your Ember Spirit to just be able to finish off targets early, like in basically one sleight of fist to finish off those supports. And they're going to be playing very safe, staying back, and obviously you need the Magnus to kind of give you that little bit of control in the fight. They don't really have any big bodies to step up in the fight. That Mag jumping in is going to be it. You're going to have the Veno kind of serving that role, kind of being frontline. With his Plague Wards, he's going to be there. And he's going to be your frontliner. Some people refer to it as a tank. It's not really a tank, I guess. But I don't really believe in the idea of a tank in Dota. But you need someone to frontline and kind of be a body to put the pressure on. And that's when the initiators really have good opportunities to jump in, like the Magnus, like an Earthshaker, like an Enigma, like any of those kind of heroes. Well, they're going to try to do it again this time. They're going to hopefully get an engage here from the Mag without him getting finished off. As that Winter's Curse was absolutely gigantic for Knights. This time he's going to cast it on Mr. Thinger, but he's alone. That one, not too sure about. Ice Blast going to fly in. Who's going to hit? It's just going to hit the Shadow Fiend. His RP's actually just going to catch one hero. So 2 big ultimates not going as planned. But the Anti-Mage gets finished off. Now the Mag goes down. The Dazzle as well. Undying will tick out to a combination of the Veno Poison and the Ice Blast.
Radiant structures are fortified.
As the melee racks has gone down, they start chipping away at the range racks. Silent jumping on in, will get tossed up in the air from the Yules, from the Venomancer, as the Ember jumps away. Cost now getting right-clicked down by the Shadow Fiend, as Mr. Thing is going to jump on in, try to avenge the death of his Ancient Apparition. He will do so, but Silent avenges the death of his Shadow Fiend. Now, Veno trying to get back in there and help out, but unfortunately he's going to go down as well. He was kind of caught between a Plague Ward and I don't know. There's probably some joke there. I'm just gonna let it die.
Radiant's bottom tower
There's some pun on the rock in a hard place, but he will go down. So they do get what they came for. They got that set of racks, but it does cost them a bunch of heroes. Important to note though that they did get the kill on the Anti-Mage. They did get the kill on the Shadow Fiend, the 2 most valuable targets for them. It did cost them quite a bit, but they got those kills. And while the fight finished and everything was going on, finally we get a show fight recap. You can see, yes, it was a huge swing in favor of the Radiant, but what this doesn't show, what the gold change and the XP change doesn't show, is the fact that they just lost those racks, which is absolutely huge. And now, next push, if it doesn't go well for the Radiant side, it could be a second set of racks, and that's going to be very, very difficult for them to come back from.
Haste.
But they have shown that they're able to take these team fights, even with a little bit of a whiffed Winter's Curse early on in the fight. But they managed to stop the Magnus from getting a good RP. So if one of those maybe goes the other way, a good Winter's Curse, it could be very one-sided fight for the Knights. However, if it's a good RP, maybe it could be a very one-sided fight for World's End. Soggy Drop farming in the bottom lane here. He's going to get caught by a Yule Scepter from the Venomancer. Then he's going to try to blink away, but he's going to get caught by the Ember Spirit. He's going to jump into the trees. They know exactly where he is, and there goes the Ember Spirit. This is going to be one dead Anti-Mage as he tries to blink away again. And we get please pause as, whoops, I'm on mumble. My mistake, guys. I actually completely forgot about that. A little unprofessional of me. But, my mistake there, guys. But we got to pause. It's probably because they knew I was going to have to log off mobile there. No, I'm not really sure the reason for the pause, but I'm sure we'll be back to it in just a second. That pick off on the Anti-Mage though, that's going to be huge. Because he's got buyback, he's dead for 83 seconds. But what's important is Roche is up. So this will mean... Well, there's two different ways to play this. You go, secure the Roche, and now you've got an Aegis. That's pretty simple, that's pretty safe. If you try and push and force that Anti-Mage to buy back, then you back off. You've got an Anti-Mage with buyback on cooldown for your next push. But with the Anti-Mage up, you've got pretty much no ability to go and take the Roche and get the Aegis. Which means you don't have a safe way to take the Aegis. Take Roche. I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, I'm not really sure what we're waiting on here. Huh. Whatever, go comes out. So we're going to resume this, and we're going to see exactly what the dire side is going to go with. I think the safe play is just to go for Roche, rather than try and force that buyback. You don't really have the lanes pushed to really threaten the buyback. You don't really have the team that can kind of storm uphill. So this is, I think this is the right play. So we'll get the Roche. We'll probably put this on the Ember and then march down bottom. The Ember stopping the push top.
Eternal, comforting rune of regeneration.
And what's key about this is they're actually, remember we were talking about a little bit earlier about the AM jumping in behind the creep wave mid and cutting the creep wave and finishing it off so that the creeps don't come down and support on the push. With the Anti-Mage dead, he's not going to be in position to do that. So what you'd really like to see now is the Anti-Mage starting to put himself in position to push the mid lane, which keeps it back, which stops these mega creeps in the lane from putting pressure. But it also puts him in a position to swing down to the bottom lane and cut. Oh, I didn't even notice that little bit of farm that Mag was getting in the mid lane, helping his creep wave push, was actually enough to get him Refresher. We got a Necro book up on the Veno now. Didn't point this out, but we got a Vlad's on the Dazzle. I like that, that'll help with the push. Mr. Finger dropped his Aquila and picked up a Chrysalis, so he's got a second form of crit to go with his Bariza. Now he's going to jump back as... Look where the Anti-Mage was. He's doing the same thing. Now he has to go to the jungle and defend off there. I'd really like to see him in that place swing to the bottom and do that cut that I was talking about. But he's in the jungle right now. He's actually going to luck out if he... Oh, he's not going to know that there's a DD there. Tense moments in the game right now. Switch over to buyback status once again. Surprisingly, only the Shadow Fiend on the Radiant side has enough gold for buyback. Everyone's off cooldown.
Tower is under attack.
As the enemy has come back quite early here. He just finished his BKB. And now Courier flies in and upgrades that Necrobook 1 to a Necrobook 3. For the Venomancer, we're going to have an engage here. The RP's just going to land on the Queen of Pain silent, but we're going to have a Winter's Curse going down on the Magnus instead as he's going to go down, so will the Winter Wyvern. And now the Anti-Mage surprisingly goes down, the Queen of Pain goes down, and that's going to be it. GG. None of those heroes have buyback. Shadow Fiend's going to let the Requiem fly, but this one is over. The GGs have been called. The Rampage goes the way of the Ember Spirit. That was a fun one. I like that. That was a fun game to start off the night as we get World's End taking that first match and ending with a Rampage. Pretty awesome stuff. Anyways, guys, hope you're enjoying the cast so far. I'm Niz, and we're gonna have our semifinals of the Semi-Pro Cup series coming up in just a minute with World's End and Mugiwara Kaizoku, I think was the name. I'll have to check that. Either way, it'll pop up on my overlay in just a second. But we'll be back with the semifinals after a short break. And yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be back.